Have you ever wanted to know what it's like living on the West Coast? Have you ever been interested in hearing about what it's like living in sunny South Florida or in the beach towns of the Hamptons? Do you want to know what it's like living through the harsh winters of upstate New York? Today's guest will talk about this and other unique experiences throughout his 27 years. He has lived in places many of us have only visited. The Humanities Mass Communications Department at New York Community College presents The New Directors, the show that introduces you to television's future writers, directors, and personalities. And now, join our host, Jameson Doris.
Thank you for joining us for today's edition of The New Directors. All the people involved with this program are students in the television production course and are directing, switching, controlling audio, operating cameras, and acting as talent for the first time today. The guests you're about to meet are students who, when not on camera, are behind the scenes working hard to bring this program to you with as few mistakes as possible. Each student will write and direct 3 different productions. This program will give them the chance to talk about themselves, the productions they are working on, and give you the chance to get to know them and watch their progress throughout the semester. Our guest today is an NCC student in the film and TV production course and a well-traveled individual who has spent time in areas all over the country, including the West Coast, the South, and the Northeast. He also has a keen interest in film and television, and we would like you to meet today's guest, Andrew Chinock.
Thanks for having me.
It's good to meet you. So I understand that you've lived all over the country. Could you please tell us some of the cities and states that you've lived in?
Well, I was born in the city of Boston, Massachusetts in 1984. Boston is an old city with a lot of history. There are a lot of cool buildings and bridges throughout the city. I only lived in Boston for a couple of years, and then I moved to California. I lived in San Diego in Southern California for a short time when I was a kid. San Diego is a coastal city, and I remember the rocky cliffs by the beach. There is a lot to do there, including fishing, windsurfing, and strolling on the boardwalk, to name a few. If you get a chance to visit California, make sure to check out San Diego. The place where I spent most of my childhood is West Hampton Beach, Long Island, New York. I lived there from first grade up until the beginning of high school. West Hampton Beach is a seasonal beach town, so there was a lot going on there in the summer months. When people think of the Hamptons, they think of a wealthy area of the country where celebrities go to vacation. Another area of New York where I spent a couple of years living was upstate in Rochester. Rochester is an old city with an interesting history. George Eastman, who started Kodak and was one of the pioneers of film, was from there. While living in Rochester, I got the chance to visit the Eastman Estate and Museum. And there we see the Eastman Theater. The downside of living in upstate New York is the bad weather. Since high school, I've spent most of my years in sunny South Florida in the coastal city of Fort Lauderdale. Fort Lauderdale has a lot of tourism, and there are a lot of cruise ships that depart from there. If you are a beach person, then you would love living in Lauderdale. Beach Place, as it is called by the locals, is a strip of restaurants and bars along the ocean where I spent much of my time on the weekends. Now I live in Norwalk, Connecticut, which has always been like a second home to me because I have family that's from here. Norwalk is a very old town located in Fairfield County, less than an hour away from New York City. South Norwalk is the center of Norwalk's nightlife and restaurant culture. I plan to live here until I am finished with school.
Wow. That's amazing. It seems like you are well-traveled there and you lived in a lot of places. Could you please tell us why you decided to take the TV production courses?
I have always had a curiosity about TV productions, especially the post-production side of it. I wanted to learn about the new generation of video cameras as they are constantly changing. I also wanted to learn how to use Avid to professionally edit my own projects. Looking ahead in the future, I can see this as a possible career.
Wow, that's great. Could you tell us some of the most useful things you learned in this class?
Well, we learned how to operate video cameras, along with learning basic elements such as composition, creating and sequencing, writing storyboards, and scripting. We also learned Avid editing, production editing, which I was very excited about. Electronic video effects were really neat to learn, where we focused on superimposition, keying, and wiping. We then learned live TV production, including technical directing and directing. Overall, we really gained a sense of the importance of the team concept in TV production.
Wow, that's great. Could you just tell us a little bit of what you learned so far in the TV1 course, and what projects have you done?
Sure. Well, I have worked on several video projects that have helped me to learn about filmmaking and editing. Here we see my first video project, which was the learning sequence. I learned how to set up different camera angles, clean entrance and exit, as well as telling a visual story without the use of sound and/or dialogue. I applied these techniques to show somebody taking an umbrella out of a bag and walking out of a building into the rain, as Sean Bacuzzi is seen doing right there. Next was the orange practice project. On this project, I used some of the same visual storytelling techniques I had already learned and showed a sequence of events in which someone finds an orange and loses an orange. It involved more camera angles and more complex scenarios than the learning sequence, so it was a little bit more challenging. However, it taught me more about creating a short film. I look forward to completing the final orange project using my newly learned skills. My fall foliage project has been the most interesting project so far. For this video project, I had to take a camera and tripod and go out into the woods to film. There were several camera tricks and techniques needed to be used for the fall foliage project, including poor man's dissolve, rack focus, and continuous zoom-ins or zoom-outs. While filming, I applied the 6 guidelines for good composition, including simplicity, the rule of thirds, emotional lines and lines of grace, balance, mergers, and framing. This footage is from the first time I took out the camera and tripod to do some filming. The purpose was to learn some basics about using the camera, including different shot positions like a bust shot, close-up, and extreme close-up. Here we see a side angle shot of me, right there.
There it is. Wow, that's really great. Seems like you did a lot of great work over this semester so far. Could you just tell us what your best TV1 project was and why?
Well, the best project I did was definitely my fall foliage project. I enjoyed going out and using the world as my canvas to create a work of video art. I believe it taught me the most about using the camera than any of the other practices and projects. I say this because of the fact that we were required to follow the 6 guidelines of good composition and apply them while filming. Through my experience filming the Fall Foliage project, I now know how to create beautiful visual images using framing and emotional lines that create different senses when applied correctly. There we see some of the footage from my Fall Foliage project.
It's beautiful, beautiful.
Looking magnificent. Clean little rack focus there.
There it is, clean rack focus. I liked it. It was great. You mentioned a variety of the things you learned in this course. What was the most important and interesting skill you learned, and how will you put it to use?
Well, I'd like to use my editing skills to make short films and music videos. I would love the chance to work in post-production and editing for broadcast news stories, films, documentaries, and music.
That's amazing. My mind is sufficiently blown. Today we got to meet someone who shared with us his experiences of living in several different areas of the country. As a new TV director, he hopes to apply what he has learned at NCC to film and edit short films and music videos. We would like to thank Andrew for joining us today.
Thank you.
No problem. We hope you enjoyed meeting one of television's future directors, and we hope you will continue to join us each week to watch our progress. Thank you and good day.
This has been The New Directors with your host, Jameson Doris. Directed by Brian Adams. I'm your announcer, Minnie Godfrey. The New Directors is a Nora Community College student production.